to the regular session of Board of Education meeting. Before we do the salute to the flag, Mr. Mercari wanted to say a couple words.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming tonight to join us for our board meeting. I did want to just take a minute and mention to you, you're probably all aware, we had our flags at half-staff last weekend and last Monday, and then we got an executive order from the governor on Friday to have our flags at half-mast today at all the schools. And this was for Captain Ford Shaw, who was a soldier that was from Basking Ridge. He graduated from Ridge High School, and he died serving our country during a training exercise where the helicopter he was in crashed. So I just wanted to share with you a little bit. I didn't know this young man when he was a student in the district, but for the staff that did know him, the adjectives that were used to describe him were honorable, caring, and selfless. I did go to the wake last week, and I just wanted to share with you the quote that was on the card for him. Captain Stanford Henry Shaw III, February 9th, 1984 to March 10th, 2015. Eternal Father, grant, we pray, to all Marines, both night and day, the courage, honor, strength, and skill their land to serve by law fulfill. Be thou the shield forevermore from every peril to the core. So immediately following our flag salute, if you would remain standing for an extra moment of silence for Captain Shaw. Thank you very much.
Before we get started with the presentation, I have to draw your attention to the statement of public notice in your agenda. It explains how we get input from the public. There are 2 times during regular meetings that the public is invited to speak. One time is earlier in the meeting, and you can speak about any item that's on the agenda. The other time is later, and you can speak about any issue that you would care to. If you do come up during public comment, please give us your name and address and write it on the clipboard, which will be available over there at the end of the table. I also just wanted to point out that the meeting is being recorded. And at this point, we're up to the board presentation of the agenda, so we'll turn it over to Dr. Costa.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Jane Costa.
Sorry, Jane, we're going to scooch to the front row.
Oh, I'm sorry. See, I'm so raring to go here. Good evening. My name is Jane Costa, and I have the honor of serving as principal of Oak Street School. I would like to introduce Mr. Scott Graver, our assistant principal. I would like to extend a warm welcome to the members of the Board of Education, Mr. Markarian, Mr. Syed, and Mr. McLaughlin. Also, I'd like to acknowledge that there are quite a few Oak Street School teachers in the audience. If we would just give a little wave. Thank you. As well as many parents. Can they give a little wave? Thank you. Tonight I'm going to tell our story, the Oak Street School story. And a very important part of that story is so many different programs that we have within our school. And one very important program is our music program. And tonight, Mrs. Reimer, along with our Oak Street School Chorus, is going to share some really lovely, fabulous songs with you. We heard a lot of these songs at our winter concert, and they even got better. So I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Reimer, and you can start your program.
Thank you so much. We're honored to be singing for the board and representing Oak Street School. Thank you for having us, Dr. Costa. I'm just going to quickly tell you we're singing 4 folk songs. Our first folk song is French Canadian, so you'll hear some French. It's about a windmill. Our second piece is from the United States. It's called Orange Blossom Special. It's about heading on a train down to Florida, which I think we will all enjoy right now. Our third piece is from the Czech Republic. It's called Stoda la Pupa. And our final piece is from Tobago and Trinidad. It's called I Let Her Go Go. When we're finished, I'm having the students walk around the back and right into the gym to grab their coat. So if you're along the back and everybody starts kind of herding your way, you know what we're doing. Okay. Oh, and my accompanist, I'm sorry. This is Mr. John Conti. He came out tonight. We've been a colleague for a long time. He's an excellent pianist, and I want to thank him. Our accompanist for Orange Blossom Special is a 5th grade student. His name is Benjamin Usadi. He's super talented. I don't want him to go and leave us at William Annan, and we're just honored. He always picks a song every time. It's like, I want this one, I want that one. And he can just play anything.
Some Hey, talk about a rambling. She's the fastest train on the line. Hey, talk about a traveling. She's the fastest train on the line. It's at our class special. Rolling down the seaboard, rolling down the seaboard line.
Are you good?
Sola, 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 pumpa, sola, pumpa, sola, pumpa, sola, 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 pumpa, sola, pumpa, pum, pum, pum. Sola, 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 pumpa, sola, pumpa, sola, pumpa, sola, 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 pumpa, sola, pumpa, pum, pum, pum. Off from the valley we will make our way, leaving behind the worries of the day. Being at one with all that we survey, singing aloud this joyous song. Sola, 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 pumpa, sola, pumpa, sola, pumpa, sola, 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 pumpa, sola, pumpa, pum, pum, pum. Sola, 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 pumpa, sola, pumpa, sola, pumpa, sola, 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 pumpa, sola, pumpa, pum, pum, pum. Breathing the sunlight in the morning air is a happy feeling well beyond compare. To the mountain top we'll soon be there, and as we climb we'll sing this song. Oh. Sola, 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 pumpa, sola, pumpa, sola, pumpa, sola, 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 pumpa, sola, pumpa, pum, pum, pum. Sola, 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 pumpa, sola, pumpa, sola, pumpa, sola, 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 pumpa, sola, pumpa, pum, pum, pum. Oh. Sola, 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 pum, pum, pum. I let her go, yeah, I let her go, yeah, I let her go. I let her go, I let her go, yeah, I let her go, yeah, I let her go. I let her go, So long, long gone, fare thee well and get thee
a round of applause because they did it. Dr. Horatio Gates Whitnall. It cost the district $200,000 to construct Oak Street School, and it was the third school built in the community in 139 years. On the day before Thanksgiving, 1939, 200 students gathered their books and their belongings and marched by twos to the new Oak Street School. In 1956, Oak Street School was reconfigured to serve as a junior high for students in grades 7 to 9, but that was only briefly. Our school is unique. Designers borrowed historic elements to create a classic structure. The school exterior has colonial-style brick architecture. Mr. Jack B. Twitchell was the first principal of Oak Street School. In later years, before any additions to the building, the population grew to 424 students. Beautiful oak-trimmed archways have greeted visitors to Oak Street since 1939. In 1939, the interior held a grand chandeliered auditorium and a distinct ticket booth, both visible today. The school was initially built for students in grades 1 through 8. It housed 9 classrooms, an auditorium, a gym, manual arts shop, home economics room, and an office. Pictured is an industrial arts classroom in 1966. Currently, Oak Street School consists of 27 classrooms, ranging from kindergarten through 5th grade. Special programs include instructional support, special education resource centers, art, general music, computers, library, band, chorus, and orchestra, physical education, after-school mini units, and before and after care. Our student population is at 575. Several of our current staff members attended Oak Street School. Pictured are Betsy Wallace, first grade teacher, Kathy Fain, give a little wave, school secretary, Kaylee Marvel, she's our special education teacher, Anthony Aramenta, a PE teacher, and Denise Turner, give a wave, instructional support. Visitors are greeted by our mascot, the Oak Street School Eagle. A former parent, Mrs. Chris Park, designed and painted the Oak Street School mascot, Eagle Soar. In 1940, Oak Street School was proud of their technology, which consisted of a 16mm Bell & Howell movie projector and a handheld microphone. Fast forward to 2015, where technology is infused into the classrooms on a daily basis through the utilization of Chromebooks and smartboards. Oak Street School is fortunate to have 9 Chromebook cards, 4 of which were generously gifted to us by the PTO. Parent involvement is welcomed and encouraged at Oak Street. In December, kindergarten students read books about various gingerbread characters. As a culminating activity, parents were invited into the classroom to create a gingerbread house with their child. In 2014, Oak Street School celebrated its 75th birthday. Plans are underway to honor this important milestone. On June 8th, the students, staff, alumni, and invited guests will parade down Finley Avenue and reassemble in the gym for a whole school assembly. Building and fostering leadership capacity is important, not only for staff, but for students. The teacher leadership team comes together once a month to brainstorm issues that have an impact, not only on students, but on staff as well. It fosters problem solving and coming together in a collegial environment. Oak Street School has a student council comprised of 2 representatives from each of the 5th grade classrooms. In September, students interested in serving as a student council member must prepare and deliver a speech to their classmates, which is then followed by an election. As the principal, I supervise the activities of the student council. In addition, 5th grade students can also serve on the safety patrol. These students provide an extra set of eyes on the bus and during arrival and dismissal. Safety patrol members apply for the position and must also receive a satisfactory recommendation from their teacher in order to be appointed. Mr. Graber is in charge of this group. Student council members have several responsibilities. Members plan school spirit days, deliver morning announcements, organize our food drive, and also led the Oak Street School Kickoff Character Ed Assembly. Student council members meet monthly during their lunch period. And Neon Color Day was a very popular school spirit day. The students in Mrs. Russo's first grade classroom had a very colorful day. Student council members spearheaded a toothbrush drive in the fall. They collected over 500 toothbrushes, which were sent to needy children in this country and abroad. Student council members were hard at work gathering food for our annual Thanksgiving food drive. They collected frozen turkeys as well. And here they are as they finish up loading the Somerset County Food Bank van. Recently, the Student Council promoted Leprechaun Day and encouraged everyone to wear their green. Even Mr. Denis got into the act with his green hair. The PTO provides active support for many of our school activities, such as awarding mini grants to teachers that enable them to purchase special instructional items to enhance their curriculum. Roald Dahl Day celebrates the books written by Mr. Dahl, such as James and the Giant Peach, The Witches, and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. At the end of the school year, the third grade students engage in mini field day activities, all centered on Roald Dahl characters. Battle of the Books encourages students in grades 4 and 5 to read books and engage in healthy competition in a game-like format. Field Day is the end of the year favorite activity when all the students play games in a fun and non-competitive spirit. In addition, the PTO assists us in many other exciting events, such as Family Reading Night. Oak Street School's 14th annual Family Reading Night was held on March 6th. Family Reading Night provides an opportunity for families to return to school to hear several bedtime stories read by some of their favorite teachers. Many students arrived to school that evening dressed in their PJs. The Wild West theme was created by 5th grader Chris Kozakowski. Pictured is Carla Komar, published author of Everybody Loves Hazel, reading to students at Family Reading Night. She is the cousin of our PE teacher, Liana Lavecchia. The Wizard of Words program enables us to bring famous children's authors and illustrators to speak to the students about their books. This year's Wizard of Words visiting authors were Sarah Weeks and Daniel Kirk. Daniel Kirk spoke to the children in the library with the assistance of one of his main characters, the library mouse. The library mouse also visited a first grade classroom. Each year, the PTO sponsors a holiday boutique where students can purchase gifts for their families for the holidays. Mrs. Karen Olmsted is the talented and professional artist who brought her vision to life in the Oak Street School Cafe. She sketched out the design, and every student had a hand in painting the mural. Mrs. Olmsted is also an Oak Street School parent. This took place, we did this in 2 steps. The first one was just half the cafe. Then she came back. She said, you know what, I really want to finish the cafe. And then she proposed to do the rest of it. And if you notice on some of the trees and flowers, there are names of families or children. They were able to purchase a flower or a tree or a pumpkin just to help defray the cost because she had to be paid an honorarium. But as you can see, this is just such a lovely place to walk into. It brings a smile to your face. The Sweetheart Dance is a fun experience for students to dress up and have a date with their parent on Valentine's Day. Pictured is a young student with her father who attended the Sweetheart Dance. Once again, the PTO has offered their unwavering support with our annual Science and Art Expo. Over 160 students are participating in the science fair alone. In addition, all 575 students at Oak Street have a piece of their artwork on display throughout the building. The Science and Art Expo was scheduled to open on March 20th. In a flashback photo taken in 1940, Oak Street school students are conducting a demonstration at their science fair. Unfortunately, Mother Nature did not cooperate this year, and we had to reschedule the event for March 27th. However, as I said, much of the artwork is on display throughout the building and will stay until next Friday. Colonial Day is a living history experience for the 4th grade students. They spend the day learning about music, food, and crafts from the colonial period. The Frontier Guards demonstration is very popular on Colonial Day. The Learning Garden provides students with gardening experience in an outdoor classroom environment. In the spring, our Learning Garden comes to life with beautiful flowers. A variety of flower and vegetable seedlings are planted by the students. Many birds love to visit our garden. Here's an example of special Oak Street School activities. We have a school store where once a month students can purchase pencils, pens, erasers for a small cost during their lunch period. Through the generous donations of our staff, Oak Street School has had the honor of funding and awarding character education alumni scholarships to 2 graduating high school seniors. Handprints. Every student and staff member has the opportunity to make their mark at Oak Street School by placing their handprint on the wall. It is very touching to see a returning high school student find their handprint and take a photo of it. You can't help but smile. Students look forward to our annual student and staff kickoff tournament in June. And our school plays rival a Broadway production. For several years, 2 of our teachers, Mrs. Reimer and Ms. Rosenbaum, have served as directors for such productions as Annie, Jungle Book, and Wizard of Oz. In addition, I hold principal chats with parents on each grade level throughout the year. This is an informal get-together which provides a forum for parents to bring up concerns and have their questions answered. Our art teacher, Jen Braun, runs a summer art camp each year, and the children have designed several large murals located in the kindergarten hallway. I'm especially proud of the family dining program, which I instituted 14 years ago. Every family is given the opportunity to dine with their child in the cafe. Grandparents, aunts, and uncles are welcomed as well. It's not uncommon for parents to bring in Burger King or even sushi. As part of a wellness initiative, staff is encouraged to wear their workout gear on Wednesdays, Workout Wednesday. The results have been very positive. The staff is feeling more energized and are taking walks or doing yoga during lunch. Several teachers work out with their students using some workout videos for children. I send out personal invitations to each 3rd and 4th grader to have lunch with me. This is a unique opportunity for me to get to know the children better outside the classroom. Every student has their birthday announced over the PA system and are invited to the conference room to choose a birthday book and pencil. The Pride Committee promotes collegiality amongst all the staff members. We accomplish this by hosting special and fun activities. Of course, most of them are centered around food. Although I'm not sure that the Pride Committee existed at Oak Street in 1940, nonetheless, they recognize the importance of collegiality. Pictured are the Oak Street School staff and principal at a backyard gathering enjoying a barbecue. In the fall, Pride hosted an event called Fall into Halloween and served some tasty treats. In December, Pride held an ugly holiday sweater day for staff. Even our beloved Mr. Frank joined in on the fun. The staff and I recognize the importance of fostering good character traits within each child. In September, we held a whole school character education kickoff assembly. Using our motto of Eagle Soar, we're able to align each letter with the Obeus character education program. Words such as empowerment, accepting others, good manners, lead by example, equity and equality, self-determination, safety and security, optimism, assisting others, and responsibility. First letter of each word translates to Eagle Soar. When our students place their handprints on the wall, they're also recognizing and echoing the words of Anne Frank. The final forming of a person's character lies in their own hands. Each week, a classroom from each grade level is awarded the Golden Tray Award in recognition of showing good character on the playground and in the cafe. The holiday sing-along is a long-standing tradition. Everyone gathers in the gym for the last day of school before the holiday break. Many of the students and staff members get into the spirit by wearing comfy clothes. Holiday songs are sung, and each grade level is directed by Mrs. Reimer, our music teacher. And here we are gathering in the gym for our sing-along. Each year, we celebrate Dr. Seuss's birthday. This year, we honored his memory by reading across Oak Street School. Everyone sat in the hallway and read their favorite book for 20 minutes. It was a fabulous sight to behold. Yes, everyone was reading, staff included. We even encouraged our families to read that very same evening at home with their children. Take a picture and send it back to school. We shared these wonderful pictures by posting them on a bulletin board by the main office. Indeed, Oak Street School is a community of readers. Another exciting literacy project we embarked upon this year was One Book, One School. We gathered as a school community in the gym, and I read the story of the Grayling to the entire school. Afterwards, the children returned to their classrooms, and the teacher read the story to them again. Each teacher extended the lesson by having the students engage in a writing prompt related to the theme of the story. This is an example of a first grade class exploring the two options for the Grayling. Does he remain a seal or stay on land and remain a boy? Next slide just depicts an event from the story, and the students used some cooperative artwork to design one of the scenes from the book. And then this is just fourth grade, they did some persuasive writing pieces. Again, should he go in the water and stay a seal or stay on land? Oak Street School formed a vocabulary committee several years ago in response to Dr. Robert Marzano's research on direct vocabulary instruction. Each year, the committee develops a list of interesting words for the children to learn and incorporate into their writing. These words are presented as the interesting word of the week. Each week, a new word is added to the vocabulary tree along with the definition. Here's an example of a second grade class using some of the interesting words as they explain why they love Oak Street School. My favorite one is, we hustle and feel burly in PE. At the end of 5 weeks, several committee members create a short video clip as a review for the students, and then they're able to see it in their classroom. They love it. So let's take a peek at one of them.
Bob's back. And it's winter. The flowers wither in the cold. The weather turns jelly and it snows. Bob trudges through the snow to get his shovel from the shed. Look at Bob's burly muscles from all his shoveling. When he's finished shoveling, Bob reclines in his chair with a mug of hot cocoa and thinks about Oak Street School's interesting vocabulary words. Wither, gelid, trudge, burly, and recline.
And our author is sitting in the audience, Nancy Leckliner. Well, that's our story, and surely it will be continued. Thank you.
Just want to thank all the staff. Thank you very much for coming out and supporting Dr. Costa, Mr. Graber. We appreciate you being here. I know you've got another day full of kids tomorrow, so get some rest. Thank you so much for coming out.
Yeah, the only problem with doing these showcases is it makes our meetings look even more boring and less fun than they already are.
And this cafeteria really does look awesome. So thank you for having us in here so that we would all get a chance to see the painting and the great artwork in here, Dr. Costa. Thank you. That's perfect, Mr. Graber. You want to put that right in the middle? I appreciate it. That's great. Thanks. So we are up to superintendent's report. You know, Mrs. McEwen was just about to say that, so I'll jump right in here. Of course, the topic that has gotten a lot of attention during this school year has been PART and I've been receiving quite a few questions about how we're doing as far as the participation rates go. So the middle school and the elementary schools have finished, and I wanted to just share with the board and the public how things went with the participation rates. And then, of course, the high school just started today. We'll talk about that soon. Here at Oak Street School, going by grade, there was a 89% participation rate in the third grade, 87% in the fourth grade, and 90% in the fifth grade. There were about a dozen students from each grade that did take the test. Over at Cedar Hill, we had similar figures there. Third grade had 87%, fourth grade 83%, and fifth grade 86%. Again, roughly a dozen students. We had a range of 11 to 17 students per grade that didn't participate in the test at Cedar Hill. Liberty Corner and Mount Prospect, the numbers were lower in terms of those refusing the test. Therefore, the participation rates were higher. Liberty Corner, 97% of third graders took the test, 96% of fourth graders, and 96% of fifth graders. Similar at Mount Prospect, 97% of third graders, 96% of fourth graders, and 98% of fifth graders. So that pretty much summarizes. We were in the high 90s at Liberty Corner and Mount Prospect, and the middle to high 80s at Oak Street and Cedar Hill. At William Annan, we had 90% participation for the sixth grade, 85% for the seventh grade, and 83% for the eighth grade. And as I said, the high school just started today. We set up a unique schedule, you might remember, whereby the students took 2 tests per day. That's the schedule, with the exception of today, where they took 1 test. And that's because altogether there's 5 sections, or 5 units of testing that the students have to take. So obviously that doesn't divide nicely by 2. So they took 1 section today, and then Tuesday they take 2 sections, Wednesday they take 2 sections. That's the basic schedule. We are doing all the students each day. So like today, 9th and 10th grade in the earlier test, and then the 11th grade. The 12th grade came in on a 2-hour and 45-minute bus delay. Honestly, don't have the schedule memorized for the rest of the week, but the idea is basically to try to complete all of the testing in just 3 days and get back to the regular routine, with the exception of makeup testing on Thursday. So that's the goal. Rough figures for today. I did speak to Mr. Hallett briefly. He doesn't have anything calculated in terms of the number of refusals by grade, but he thought that the participation rate was somewhere in the neighborhood of 50% amongst all 3 grades. I have no idea how that breaks out by 9th, 10th, and 11th grade. So obviously that's just a quick guesstimate. They, given the number of refusals that they had, it's going to take them a while to get them all organized, and get them sorted by grade, and so on and so on and so on. So I anticipate we probably won't be able to break that out for the board or for the public until maybe next week, before the dust settles on those figures. That's all I had.
Thank you, Mr. Markarian. Any board members have any questions? Mr. Markarian? We are up to public comments on agenda items. If anyone has a public comment, please put your name and address on the clipboard. Clipboard's at the end of the table there.
I don't know. I honestly, I can tell you that had a sick day all day. I didn't get in until about 4 o'clock today, so I didn't get a chance to follow up with the exact number of questions. I do know that they had one session of the ELA today. So I think at the middle schools they were tested, they only had 7 questions and an essay. So I wouldn't be surprised. That sounds like that could be true. I'm not sure.
Is there anyone else for public comment? Okay, at this time I'll close public comment. We're up to item 10, which is approval of minutes. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the minutes? Aaron? Linda, second. Are there any comments or questions about the minutes? Okay, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Byrne?
I was absent for the last one, the regular board session. Yes.
Mrs. Smart?
Yes on everything but the board retreat, I need to assume.
Mrs. Gray?
Yes.
Mrs. Cassell?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Mrs. Richmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Shaw?
Yes.
Mrs. Wolfridge?
Yes.
Mrs. McHugh?
Yes.
Madam President?
We're up to finance. I guess we'll vote on the items first, and I'll do the committee report, because I think most of the items are straightforward. Okay, a lot of them are regular items that we usually do. There's a couple of field trips, there are a couple of students getting services, and one in-district student, someone coming into the district, tuition in student. Number 12 is a safety grant that Mr. McLaughlin has applied for, which hopefully we'll be able to get, which could be used for the entranceway at William Mannon, which will help with the cost of that. And number 13 is a donation from Mount Prospect PTO, which is always a good thing, always very nice when we have happy news. Does anyone have any questions about any items?
I'd like to move.
Oh, we didn't move them, I'm sorry.
I'd like to move item 1 through 13.
Okay, so would someone like to second it? Linda, sorry about that. Okay, now does anyone have any questions? Karen?
For the purposes described in the application, I'm just curious. In number 12.
Number 12?
The purpose is really to put a new store, what we call a storefront. It's a second set of doors in the foyer area there, just beyond the initial entrance, so that any visitors are allowed to come to it, if you will, to the front lobs to present credentials and get access to the rest of the building.
The PTO had donated some money for that entranceway, but it wasn't going to cover the whole project because there was other things that had to be changed, and it was bigger than just the doors themselves, because there was construction that needed to be done.
Which building?
At Annan,
Amen.
sorry. Yeah, and when I'll talk about that when I do the minutes also. That's in there. That's okay. Does anyone else have any questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
Mrs. Horner?
Yes.
Mrs. Gray?
Yes.
Mrs. Cassell?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Mrs. Richmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Shaw?
Yes.
Mrs. Wolfridge?
Yes.
Mrs. McHugh?
Yes. Thank you. We had a finance committee meeting on Thursday, and unfortunately Elaine got stuck in California. Well, she was in California, and then she got stuck in California with bad weather. So I ended up taking the minutes of the meeting. I know, yeah. I'm sure you would. Okay, so we had our meeting. I'll try to go through some of the, I sent the minutes out, we got them. The first thing we talked about was we had Advocate, Bill Garrett, from Advocate came to speak to us. We were already using Advocate to monitor our Airmark services for facilities, and we found that we were very happy with their services, and they found the best ways to save money. So this year we asked them to look at our food services to see if they had any recommendations that could help us save money or any changes that we could make to the programs. So, our food services is a fairly large operation. It's a little over $2 million in revenue per year. So there's, money there to be saved. So Advocate has been monitoring during this whole school year, conducting site visits, auditing all the food service financial statements, and issuing monthly report cards with different metrics about how much it's costing us and the food and labor costs, and analyzing what types of meals the students are buying in different schools. So they did a summary of their short-term and long-term concerns about our food services. For the short term, they recommended that we do an RFP to get bids on food service providers. And one of the recommendations they had was that we look at going out of the National School Lunch Plan. Our district does participate in it, but we don't have a lot of students. It's, I think, under 3% that qualify. And so from K to 8, we participate in the program, but at the high school we don't. But we do offer students who need it free and reduced lunch at the high school. We just don't through the national program. So if we went out of the national program, which other districts have done, it gives us more flexibility because there's a lot of requirements and restrictions. As we saw, they added more a year or two ago, and some board members went to some PTO meetings where parents were asking questions. It was very confusing for the younger children figuring out what they're allowed or not allowed to buy with their meal. Some of the restrictions are not only restricting, but kind of annoying, like your child can't get water with their meal because it says they have to have milk. So if they want to have water, which is a healthy option, they have to pay a la carte for that and pay extra. So that doesn't make everybody happy. Some people can't drink milk because they're lactose intolerant or whatever, and they still can't get the water. So different things like that, we wouldn't be restricted by. We would have more control over the quality of the food in some categories that we could order. So we think we could improve some of the menu offerings. So we are planning on going out to bid and seeing what we can do with that and what money that can save us. And then they also gave us a little preview of their long-term recommendations. They looked at all the equipment in all the schools, the structure of the cafeterias, and a lot of the equipment is very old. I think the equipment Anna was there when I was there. I mean, it's old. And so, it's going to need upgraded at some point, and they were looking at what ways the lines could go through to be more efficient and offer better food options for the students. So that we will get a later presentation about the long-term plans. We didn't really get into that anyway. The next thing we talked about was the Ridge High School Wellness Center and then the field turf bids. I attached to the minutes the different bids that we got. For the Wellness Center, we had 7 bids. They ranged from a high of $720,000 to a low of $462,000 for the base bid. So upon recommendation of our council and the architect, the lowest bidder was GCS Contractors Corporation. And so we were pleased that the bids came in a range that was palatable, because last time we had some really high bids that were upsetting. So that was good news. For the Lee Field project, we got 4 bids on the turf. The highest was $590,000 and the low was $289,000, which included 4 alternates. These bids included 4 alternates, which were football goals, ball stop netting, soccer goals, and filament. I don't know exactly what that is. Recycling the filament, okay, for the infield. And so, again, upon recommendation of our council and engineering firm, that we would go with the lowest bidder, which is Land Tech Group. We had a chance to ask questions of Jeff Morris from our engineering firm and Dave Harding, our facilities manager, about the scope of the projects. And I know 1 or 2 board members had follow-up questions for me, one of which I couldn't answer. So if people have questions, definitely email to Nick and get to Rod and Dave can answer them, because some of these questions just didn't come up in the meeting about exactly, about the filament and things like that, which I can't answer. We talked about the financing for these projects. We have a time frame because of when you go out to bid as far as when you can do the project. So 60 days we have to award the contract. So we have to figure out the financing in a pretty quick time frame. The good news is that the interest rates are really low right now, and so we don't know exactly what rate we would get when it goes out, but it will be less than 2%, hopefully, a little bit significantly under. And we will get bids from leasing companies by April 2nd. The timetable was in your minutes. We will be able to close the lease purchase by our April 27th board meeting. And so we should be able to do that. In the minutes also explained the cost of paying for the lease and what it would come out to each year would be an additional $88,000 in our budget for 5 years. So that is an amount of money that we can manage, with our budget without messing up our budget or, our programs. So that's good news. It's good that the interest rates are low right now. We were able to do it that way. Nick and Rod have spoken to the Ridge Sports Foundation about their commitment to financing half of the Wellness Center, and including the $10,000 for the startup and design costs. So, we're happy that they're willing to do that. Happy that we can move forward with that project. We also talked about health benefits, and we had Jake Lawton and Joe Colombo from GR Murray come and talk to us about our health care, and they're trying to negotiate as a rate. Unfortunately, the rate is going to be higher this year than it has been for the last couple of years, and so we're hopeful that they can get it down, but through some more negotiations, and we'll keep you updated. That was all in the minutes. We went over the regular finance items, which we just voted on, and I think that was about it. So if anyone has any questions, sure. If I can't, so there's someone else can. Mike?
I must have just lost it. The cost of financing, $88,000 per year?
That's the net cost.
But that's the total cost.
That's the net cost as well. Yeah. It's the net cost of the loan per year.
Well, 700,000 is 2%.
That's the payment, the amount of the payment, not the amount to borrow. That's not the interest, it's the payment.
The payment on the loan, 88, okay.
The board's share, because we get the
Okay,
donation.
so that's,
You've
it's
got
not
the
the
offsets
interest.
that are in the schedule.
It's the total payment.
Right, and the Sports Foundation is going to pay us for it.
And I do want to look at the plans with the
Anyone else have any questions? We're now up to personnel. That-
I move items number 1 through 22 of personnel, and I have a report once we could.
Okay.
Any
Would
questions?
someone like to second it first? Elaine?
Any questions?
Roll call, please.
Mr. Byrne?
I'm still looking at this, go back.
Mrs. Swarner?
Yes.
Mrs. Gray?
Yes.
Mrs. Cassell?
Yes.
Mr. Frog?
Yes.
Mrs. Richard?
Yes.
Mrs. Shaw?
Yes, I saw a question, but I'll ask
Mrs. Wooldridge?
Yes.
Mrs. McCune?
Yes.
Mr. Byrne?
I'm going to say I'd like to have a little explanation of these before we vote, so I'm going to abstain, but I don't like the procedure. I think if you're going to vote on something, at least you should give us a little bit of guidance. I'm going to abstain. I have no problem with it, but I don't like to do it.
All right, well, first of all, the minutes went out already, so you should have received them. If you didn't, please let me know.
No, I got them, but I don't believe in email and telephone calls. I think the public ought to be, given a chance to hear the explanations as well before the vote.
Well, that's when you're reporting out, which I'm about to do.
Well, I understand, but I would have to vote after you report out. Because it's a secret that we're going to hear. The vote's already happened, so that's my 2 cents.
Well, before I go over the minutes, you're going to have to indulge me because we just approved 2 retirements for both Mrs. Benson and Mrs. Tracy out of Liberty Corner School. My family and I had the privilege of being part of the Liberty Corner School community. Mrs. Benson has been a 3rd grade teacher there for, I believe, over 30 years. One of my favorite field trips I ever went on was a walking tour of Basking Ridge narrated by Mrs. Benson, who actually grew up in this community and went to school here. So although I am incredibly delighted for her, I'm sad for all the future third graders at Liberty Corner School. Ditto for Debbie Tracy, who has been the smiling face that greets you in the front office for as long as I've been there. She's just been a wealth of helpful information, and I know she will be missed.
Can I just echo that?
Yeah, me too.
As far as our personnel committee meeting, we met this past Friday. If you'll all recall, we identified one of our goals for the year was to prioritize staffing needs relative to what our district needs, as opposed to just hiring people as we're told we need them and hiring them. And we've already gotten a good jump start in that effort. Attached to the minutes, you'll have received a preliminary spreadsheet where all of the administrators and supervisors have put in for potential positions that they would like to see in the upcoming budgeted year. We went over all of these positions and rated them based on priority. Now, keep in mind, the ratings could shift based on class size numbers and changing needs. Additionally, our ratings are now going to be reviewed by the administrators and supervisors, so it's just a moving list, but we're getting a jump start on the bigger picture of staffing going forward. Some of the highlights on the list right now include an additional special education position, a much needed additional ESL teacher, our gifted and talented teachers, and then a whole bunch of teaching positions to reduce class sizes. We will fund a lot of this through some internal movement, but like I said, this is an evolving process and will be revisited throughout the budgeting cycle this year. Another thing that we approved tonight was a maternity leave for Kristen Wolf, our math supervisor. Just wanted to let all of you know that our administrators have identified a possible internal candidate to fill the need during the 6 months that she's out on maternity leave that would also not impact our math instructional needs. So more to be heard on that in an upcoming meeting once we're able to talk about the candidate. As far as the principal search at Liberty Corner School, I believe it is 6 candidates are going to be interviewed this Thursday with the hope of appointing a replacement principal at our April 24th meeting. As far as negotiations with the BTAA, we met last week. We continue to progress. Our next meeting is March 30th. And finally, something that my daughter keeps reminding me to tell Mr. Markarian about on a regular basis, we still have one snow day left. We talked about possible uses for the last snow day, and the committee unanimously agreed that in lieu of giving back the extra snow day, we wanted to gain back some more instructional time. So as long as the weather continues to cooperate, we will not be using our final snow day this year. Sorry, Kayla. And that's all I have. Any questions?
I have a real, number 12, I just voted on. What's the name from? Any Sean
They're the ones that are greeting the children when they come in. This is before the school day, so they're watching the children. We have roughly 10 of them in each building. We have AM and PM properties.
I thought it was a test line.
No, I can understand why you would think that.
All right, that's fine.
Okay, we're now up to policy. We have one item in the policy. Would someone like to move item number 1? Preeti, Karen second. Do you want to report out?
Yeah, I'm going to report out, because I think we're going to talk about it. Okay, you know, I'm actually reading it. So we had a second reading on a few things on March. Yes, for policy 167, 9150, and regulations. Well, let me just go one by one. So policy 0167 is the public comment on board meetings. We already had a first reading So this is for the second reading. The committee discussed comments from the first reading and feedback from BOE members. After the meeting, the committee was unanimous to maintain the 5-minute limit for speakers at the podium. The committee was unanimous to agree that no participant may speak more than once during a given public comment session. And then the committee was unanimous to change the second public comment session to be used for both agenda and non-agenda topics. And we were also unanimous to agree the limit for the length of the session. And that was something that was discussed. So I believe that's how it's written right now. I had trouble seeing it on my phone over the weekend. So was it written on that way, right? Perfect. So that's one thing that we're voting on. Do you want to discuss it now before you move on to the rest, or do you want to just hold on?
We can discuss it. Does anyone have anything they want to say about that or questions?
Oh,
Mike?
I don't like the limit of 5 minutes, just in case the topic was one that you couldn't make all of your comments in 5 minutes. I think it restricts the public from making comments. And I guess they can come back after the vote, if there's a vote, but in the session after the meeting. But I don't think it's proper to limit the public statements, so I'm going to vote no on the public participation for
Elaine?
I know this is part of the policy, and I think what I would hope is that, assuming this gets adopted, that we refrain from enforcing this unless we really feel that we need to. I think it's a tool which can be useful to make sure that people have the opportunity to speak, but and make sure that everyone who wants to can speak. But I hate to use it. I don't think it's necessary most of the time, so I hope we not do that. I won't support the limit on getting to speak more than once. I think sometimes people need to speak more than once, so I don't support that part.
I just want to sort of echo what Elaine said. As you all know, I've been to a lot of board meetings over a lot of years. It is exceedingly rare that anyone speaks for 5 minutes. And I think in the instances that they may have, it was probably appropriate to terminate the comment because it may have been circular in nature. So I'm not worried about the 5 minutes at all because, to echo your point, I think with discretion it can be used appropriately.
Anyone else? John?
I agree with the 5-minute rule. I think that that's reasonable time. People have comments that they have prepared in advance. And if there's a situation where they need to speak longer, we could just ignore that. But the second is, they could come with 2, 3, 4 people, and they could pass on the notes after 5 minutes, and I think that would accomplish the same thing, as long as they are prepared and have something to say, as opposed to repeating the same thing over and over. And I think that's where the 5-minute rule that was implemented to eliminate just constant repeating statements.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. And the times that I've seen people that had longer statements, often they've emailed it to the board already too, but they want it on public record. And so I have seen people pass it to someone else to read it. But I mean, people can always, if they have more detail or they've done research on something and they want to give it to us, they always can email it to us also if they have lots of information. Anyone else have questions? Mike?
I disagree with emailing because I think it's not out in the public, so it's fine that people give you the comments in advance. Thank you for your input because I had forgotten about the chance to come up and repeat a second time. And yes, someone could do it with a group of people, so I think those are good comments.
So I think we can move on to the next policy that we discussed. The eligibility of resident, non-resident pupils, kindergarten enrollment for children and employees. So Mr. Martin informed the committee that the district did not have to hire additional teachers due to the recent increase of students, of staff attending BOE schools, for staff that do not live in the district. However, Mr. Markarian noted that the ability to reduce staff might have been a factor. So the committee reevaluated the financial impact. We did not see the reason to change policy after first reading. And then Mr. Markarian agreed to continue monitoring the material impact through the yearly changes in staff students. Mr. Markarian will provide information to the BOE yearly, and Mr. Markarian already provides information yearly. This is not an additional class. So the policy will be tabled and not brought up for second reading today. So I'm just going to move on unless somebody...
Yeah, I just want to make sure we clarify for the public, because some people were here last time that are here now, that we did vote on it last time,
Right.
and it passed, but now the committee has reassessed and gotten more information and decided to table it, so it's not getting voted on, so therefore it didn't pass. Nothing's happening, we're leaving it the way it was. Yeah, we're leaving it the way it has been, so just to make sure it's clear.
You good? Yeah, moving on. So school visitors, I think we are voting on this one. It's, the committee was unanimous to maintain the policy and procedures as from the first reading. Nothing other than this one. And this was a long conversation, kind of woven, so organized, but I tried to summarize it here as a page now. So this is the management of life-threatening allergies at school. I'm going to try and just read it and then we can discuss it afterwards. It's the committee reviewed the existing policy and regulations. After much discussion and guidance from the superintendent, we agreed that the best practices were covered in the existing verbiage. It is the opinion of the committee that there is no need for additions or changes at this time. The committee supported the administration's effort to generate a handbook before the start of the 2015-16 school year. Our hope is this handbook will provide information for parents and students regarding available procedures and resources about how food allergies will be handled in the classroom and the building-wide activities. As a student goes from elementary school, middle school, and then to high school, we expect different information based on the elementary school, middle school, and high school student, high school level student. Mr. Markarian is planning on getting support from Mr. Syed and the nurses in our district to complete the handbook. The food allergy concern emails received by the board were discussed. Based on the conversation, the committee requested Mr. Markarian to have consistency among the 4 elementary schools within the handbook. Mr. Markarian has already discussed the issue with all 4 elementary school principals. At a minimum, birthday celebrations at elementary schools starting 2015-16 school year are expected to be without food. Not only will it eliminate potential allergens in the classroom, but with classroom obesity on the rise and so much food focus on nutrition, it seems counterproductive to have 20-plus birthday suites come into the classroom each year. Mr. Markarian is planning to roll out the changes with the handbook. The issue of the approved food list for schools was also discussed. There were many allergies within elementary schools, such as peaches, strawberries, milk, wheat, egg, avocado, tree nuts, ground nuts, etc. How can we make a safe list for all? These types of lists might make it safer, but with so many allergies out there and some very uncommon ones, it would be extremely difficult to label something safe for all. How can we make a list for one allergy and not for the others? Also, manufacturers change ingredients within packaged or processed food. There is no way to truly ensure a safe list is safe all the time. At least one member felt having this type of list might put us at risk and would provide a false sense of security. The committee feels that this would not be possible to create a safe food list. But then the last thing was, there was discussion about the elementary teachers notifying parents at the beginning of the school year if there is a student in the classroom with an allergy. Without identifying the student, these families in the classroom would be asked to not use that allergen for the snacks and events within the classroom. Mr. Markarian is already working on this issue for the staff. So now we can have discussion.
I have a question. Do we know what what other school districts do? Do they have policies, or is it handled by a handbook like we're discussing here?
So the policy, Mr. Strauss has amended to standard.
No, but I was under the impression that most other districts.
I can
had
speak
it.
to that.
Okay.
The nurses are looking at that now, actually, and many school districts use a handbook. Their goal is to gain consistency across buildings, particularly at the elementary level. That's our goal. So I think when the handbook does come out, it'll be a set of guidelines, but it'll also be suggested alternatives to food. So, it'll be a practical handbook, parent-friendly, and that's what other districts have that we're finding.
I also think in the handbook were resources that we talked about. So some parents don't even know what's available or things that they can do.
Yeah, we're going to have at the back some natural.
No, within our district. Here, I can share. You want to?
Yeah, I was just saying, we're going to link to some resources that the nurses are using where parents can access, safe food list, etc.
No, I think we're talking about programs within the district that are available to the students. I can't remember the name. Karen, there was even.
I think it was.
Oh, the help, yeah.
I think so they know what paperwork we need to fill out and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Because I have a child with food allergy, and I know it's confusing, and especially when they switch from one school to another. You're like, how does it work here? What do you have to do? What do I need to fill out?
I couldn't remember the name, so.
And the health plan, the action plan that you need to do for your child and all that
So I
stuff.
think that's going to be the handbook also.
Karen?
We're including the administration, principals, and those principals in the discussion, not just nurses.
Yeah, what I had shared with the nurses is, they're the medical experts, so they're going to make some recommendations, and then we're going to have the administration take a look at it and make their own recommendations about practical use. And so by the end of the year, it'll be a synthesis of those wonderful ideas.
Thank you. Mike?
It certainly is a much more serious problem today than it was 5, 10, 20 years ago. So I think the discussion is a good one.
So I guess we have to now vote. On number one. Well, it's 1A and B.
Mr. Byrne?
I'm going to vote no on one. The number 2, the school visitors, you pulled that back, I think, in June.
No.
Okay, okay. On the visitors.
So a yes on B. Mrs. Squire,
Yes.
Mrs. Gray,
Yes.
Mrs. Cassell,
Yes.
Mr. Fry,
Yes on both.
Mrs. Pritchard,
Yes.
Mrs. Shaw,
Yeah.
Mrs. Waldridge,
Yes.
Mrs. McKeon,
Yes.
Madam President.
Thank you. We're up to curriculum. And I believe Linda has a curriculum report.
Yeah, I have a report from our March 13th meeting. So there's one subject that we did discuss, the Ridge High School scheduling, and that's going to be discussed at board forum. So we'll talk about it then. I'm not going to read that part of the report. So the first thing that we talked about was, just like all the committees, the curriculum committee has been talking about priorities. And so the criteria for the priorities were to choose the most important items to work on during the 2015 calendar year, ensure that the tasks were distributed amongst all the supervisors, and incorporate action items into the priorities. So the first one is systematically monitor the relationship between standards, curriculum, instruction, assessment, and grades. So what that means is questions, throughout the year, questions have been raised about various academic topics, which supervisors have then needed to investigate. So instead of doing this on an ad hoc basis, the goal is to devise a systematic approach to this monitoring. The second
was assist the Ridge High School administrative team in designing